Hello, 你好. Welcome back to Toy Thursday or Wisdom Wednesday, depending on how you like to see this one. Because I actually started out making the Wisdom Wednesday, but ran out of time. So this is going to come out on a Thursday, which is okay because we are combining both Toy Thursday and Wisdom Wednesday this week to bring a really special episode. Very educational, you may say, cultural, educational toy review. The date is March 6th, Thursday, 2025. It is not often that I can justify purchasing toys. Not that I actually need to, but I'm sure some of us collectors have sometimes wanted to say to someone, hey, this is not just a toy, blah, 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 blah. We always want to give it kind of a self righteous, self justification kind of explanation to our toy collecting. But a lot of the time, I mean, when you're buying Superman and Spider Man and Batman, it's a little bit hard to justify that uh, with any kind of dignity. And if you're buying a sexy waifu kind of anime hentai based action figure, then it's even harder to justify that. However, recently I've acquired a pair of action figures that are based on characters from ancient Chinese literature. Specifically, I can't even speak English anymore. More specifically, Shan Hai Jing, a book that was written like 600 years BC, uh, detailing the various spirits and monsters and ghosts and demons and gods and goddesses from various corners of the Chinese culture and the Chinese geography. So today, I'm going to take a look at this pair of action figures while giving you a rundown of their cultural origin and their background, backstories, and all that good stuff. But before we get any further, let's take a look at their packaging. These two goblin-looking action figures are made by Keepgoing Studio, a lesser-known Chinese company that has been dabbling in making figures based on Chinese mythology and the romance of the Three Kingdoms. This time we get Wang and Liang, two Chinese ghosts, directly from the Shan Hai Jing, the book of Mountain and Sea, which was written 400 BCE. These figures come in very small packages. When I first got them out of the box, I was rather disappointed because of how small the packaging were. Almost felt like I got a couple of pencils rather than action figures. Once you open the box, there's a map inside, and if you get both of these figures, I believe the two pieces of the map will join into one. Inside the package, there's two plastic trays, one holding the figure and one holding the accessories. There's a strong chemical smell when you first get them out of the box, so be aware of that. Each one of these figures were, I believe, only $20, so they are definitely on the cheaper end for today's standard, but are they worth that price? Well, stay with me and we'll find out. And here we are. We are looking at our two demonic goblin looking characters. The one on the left is called Wang. I know it's Wang, and a lot of people say Wang, but it's actually pronounced Wang. The one on the right, the one with the blue hair, the one with the sword and shield, that one is called Liang, Liang. So Wang, Wang, is on the left, the one with the orange hair, holding the spiked club. The one on the right is Liang, uh, Liang. First, let's start with where did these two words, Wang and Liang, come from? They come from a commonly heard uh, slang called 魑魅魍魉. Okay, 魑魅魍魉. That's 魑, C-H-E, May, M-A-Y, Wang, W-A-N-G, Liang, L-I-A-N-G, 魑魅魍魉. This is often used to describe unsavory people, bad people, usually people that are not very important or not very big league. So let me give you guys an example. In the To put it in terms of uh, Ninja Turtle, for example, uh, the foot soldiers, Rocksteady, Bebop, um, those guys, that's the grunt, the cannon fodders, those would be described as 魑魅魍魉. Okay? Um, in terms of Batman, those street punks, hoodlums, uh, regular serial killers that don't really have a name, those guys would be described as 魑魅魍魉. Okay, so basically, anything that is bad or evil, unsavory, and not very important uh, can usually be described as 魑魅魍魉. So it's definitely like if someone call you and your friend 魑魅魍魉, that's not a good term. That's not a good thing. Okay, so 魑魅魍魉is a term often used for describing bad people. Now, where did that term come from and what does it mean? Now, if you look at how 魑魅魍魉is written in Chinese characters, all four of these words, 魑魅魍魉, all of them incorporate the word for ghost. Okay? All of them incorporate the word for 鬼, aka ghost. So that sort of lead us to believe that they are all demonic related, spirit related, ghost related. Now let's go back to Chinese history. When did these words first start to appear, and what are they? What are they? What do they mean exactly? Because even if you ask a lot of people who know Mandarin, a lot of native speakers, what exactly are 魑魅魍魉, they'll just tell you it's evil spirit. But if you ask them what kind of evil spirit, a lot of them can't tell you. Okay, this even for me, this takes a lot of research, and it is a little bit convoluted because it's so old and there's multiple versions of 魑魅魍魉, and so it's hard to pinpoint which version is telling the truth or which one is the original. I guess we can't really say truth because in this case, we're talking about mythology and folklore, so there's really no uh, right or wrong. There's really no truth. There's more to the point. Which one's the original? Which one's made up afterward? But as far as what people can tell, okay, the first time 魑魅魍魉is put together as a phrase, like the four words, the first time they were all used in the same place was in the Zhou dynasty, uh, about going back to uh, 2,500 years ago. actually, so sorry, I made a mistake there. It's actually the Xia dynasty. So the dynasty before Zhou dynasty. So think 3,000 years. Think 3,000 years ago. Um, During the Xia dynasty, one of the emperors um, of the Xia dynasty wanted to consolidate his power and link his power with religious symbolism. He asked the metalsmith at the time to craft nine gigantic copper gongs, and these are really big gongs. Like each one of them would weigh way over 500 pounds. These are huge, massive metal gongs. Why nine of them? Because nine is the most auspicious number to Chinese people. It means long life. It means heavenly, immortal, etc., etc. In Chinese culture, nine is the highest number you can go. Because after nine, you go 10, and 10 is not considered a number because 10 is just one and zero. So uh, the nine gongs were created, and on these gongs were all the portraits, all the images of gods and goddesses and ghosts and demons and anything that was popular at the time, anything that people believed in at the time. Uh, all the creatures and monsters and beautiful goddesses and angelic beings, they were all crafted and etched into these gongs. And this was the first time uh, when, as far as historical accuracy can tell us, this was the first time when Chi, Mei, Wang, Liang were put in one place. It was on these nine gongs as demonic creatures that were grouped together. Later, in the Zhou dynasty, uh, about 2,500 years ago, uh, during the Zhou dynasty, there was a lord from the uh, kingdom of Chu who wanted to challenge the power of the Zhou emperor, because the Zhou emperor was actually not very powerful at the time. Even though he was the emperor, he was losing a lot of military might. He didn't have a lot of money. So the Chu lord brought his army to the border of the capital city uh, of the Zhou Empire, and he camped his mighty army there and threatened to invade. The emperor of Zhou was very scared, so he sent his trusted minister with a lot of gifts and goodies to try to go to pacify the Lord of Chu. So this minister came to see the Lord of Chu and said, "Hey, I see that you and your army are camped out here, so our great emperor sent gifts and food and supplies, hoping that you guys have a good time. Let's all keep calm, be friends. Have some wine on us, have some meat and rice on us. Can you please go home?" And the Lord of Chu was very rude, and he said to the minister, he said, "Oh, I heard that the emperor has the nine gongs that are the symbol of his power. I just want to know, how are these gongs? Are they in good condition? Because, they may belong to me pretty soon." And the minister smiled and said, "Well, those gongs are really not that important. Honestly, all they show are a bunch of 魑魅魍魉. They are showing a bunch of bad spirits, a bunch of bad creatures. They're only they're only good for superstition and pacifying the civilian. They don't mean anything. Like they don't symbolize the power of the emperor. The power of the emperor is not in who owns these gongs. The power of the emperor resides in how popular, how loved the emperor is. Now, our emperor is not very strong right now, but you need to know this. Everybody love our emperor. All the other lords love the emperor. So if anything was to happen to our emperor, all the other lords would be very, very angry. Doesn't matter who have these gongs. Doesn't matter who have these gongs. The love for the emperor will not transfer. The Lord of Chu heard that and heard the veiled threat, and he contemplated and he realized, yeah, the minister's right. Even if I invade the empire and I take over and I steal these gongs, it's not going to make me the true emperor if the other lords don't love me. So what I should do is go home and try to make friends with all the other lords before I try to make a move like that. So next day he took his army and went home, and that brought a reprieve for the emperor of the Zhou Empire. So that's the second time in Chinese history when Wangliang was mentioned in historical text. Now some of you I know it's going to start getting fidgety. So you keep mentioning Wangliang. Okay, so now we know it was mentioned in historical text. It was etched into these massive gongs. But what are they? What are they exactly? So I'm going to give you guys two versions of translation from ancient text. And one of them, the first one, I'm going to give you guys the more common, the more popularly believed version. And then I'm going to give you guys the second one, which is actually the one that I like more because it's a better story. I love a good story. Okay, the second one is a better story, but the first one is more the common one. The more if you research, uh, 8 out of 10 result is going to show this first one. Okay, so I'm going to leave it up to you which one you decide to go by. But before we get into the story of Wangliang, let's take a closer look at these action figures, what they can do, what they come with, and then we'll move on to the background, the origin story of Wangliang. Both of these figures are built on the same buck, which is very scrawny, at the same time lean and muscular, with a little pot belly. The skin texture is kind of disgusting. When you run your hand along their belly especially, you'll feel this wrinkly, scaly texture that makes you think that these are like bloated, undead things. They're both mostly naked with only loincloth to keep their modesty intact. Wang is the one with 2 horns on his head, orange flaming hair, his tusks grow upward, and he comes with 2 maces, a spiked one and a smooth one, a drumstick, and a hulu gourd. Liang, on the other hand, has blue hair, 2 horns on his head, metal earrings on his ears, and his tusks grow outward. He comes with a sword and a shield and a flaming torch. They are articulated as well as any Marvel Legends today. Double-jointed knees, double-jointed elbows, crunch in the abdomen, crunch in the chest, butterfly in the shoulders. Really well articulated, these guys. About the only thing I don't like about their articulation are that their jaw articulation are very loose and their wrist joints are very loose. According to the more common tale, 魑魅魍魉 is not four kinds of demon, but three. 魑, Mei, and Wangliang. Which means if we go by that more common version, then Keepgoing Studio have made a boo-boo on making them two separate beings, Wang and Liang in this case, because going by the more traditional version, more popular version, uh, this is only one ghost, one demon. It's not two. Okay, so that is something to be keeping in mind of. Actually, when I first started researching uh, what what is Wang and what is Liang, when I first started researching after buying these action figures, I was a little bit offended because uh, going by popular belief, and this company didn't do their research, and that's offensive to me because they are a Chinese company, and they should know better. They should know that Wangliang is one being and not two. However, after some deep research, I did dig up the second version, which I'll tell you guys later, which have Wang and Liang as two distinctly separate beings. So maybe the company actually went with that version because hey, there's if you can make two figures uh, out of it, why make one? So I'm guessing that they decided to go by that version. And also, Keep Going Studio did mention that their version of Wangliang is from the Book of Mountain and Sea, which is where that other version originates from. So that I guess it kind of makes sense that they went with the Wang and Liang's two different creatures rather than one. Okay, but if you go and ask around people who know the origin of 魑魅 Wangliang, a lot of people are going to tell you that no, Wangliang is the same creature. It's one. It's 吃 is one creature, Mei is one creature, and then Wangliang is one creature. So 魑魅 Wangliang means three spirit, not four. Now, what is 吃? Okay, 吃 is a evil spirit or demonic creature born of the beast and bird in the forest. So think of Chi as the spirit of the animal. Bears, lions, deer, uh, and wolves and coyotes, their spirit can turn into Chi. And Chi is often portrayed as a gigantic dragon-like creature. It looks like dragon, but it have a more of a yellowish color, and it doesn't have horns on its head. And Chi is often said to be the strongest of all animals. It can kill a tiger with a single swipe of its paw. Right? So uh, quite oftentimes, Chi is attributed uh, with the death and disappearance of hunters, people who go into the mountain, lumberjacks and hunters. If they get eaten by unknown animals or if they just disappear, it's usually blamed on Chi. So if it will make it easier, think of Chi as a Chinese Bigfoot or Chinese Wendigo. And that's very close to what Chi is portrayed as. It is also said that Chi like to bury their victim's body in the ground so they can come back and eat them later. So sometimes when you find uh, unknown bodies or skeletons buried in the mountains in forest. People said that that's the work of Chi. Now, of course, nowadays we know better. Nowadays we know that if the body buried in the ground in the forest, that means someone got mugged. Someone ran into some really bad people, and they took their money and buried their body. But in the old days, when things like that happen, it's usually attributed to the scary beast spirit, 吃 May. Uh, According to legend, May happens when something really old become demonic. Uh, so May is usually attributed to old tree, old plant, really old animal. Uh, Sometimes uh, some older people will tell you don't keep really old items in the house, like even old clothes, old broom, old souvenirs, or family heirlooms. Sometimes can become Mei. Uh, Chinese said, 物老必成精 means something get old, it will turn into a demonic spirit. This is also why in a lot of the farming communities, they will not keep old animals. When a pig get really old, when a chicken get really old, when a cattle get really old, way past their natural lifespan, people will actually deliberately kill them so they don't turn into May as people think that they would. Now, what is this May? Well, May, like I said, is really old things taken onto a supernatural power and turn into this evil spirit. May like to use their power to shapeshift, and they are said to use their power to turn into beautiful women, uh, lost lost children, and they will lure unsuspecting people until they find themselves uh, falling into deep water or falling off the cliff or walking into quicksand or just that would lead you into dangerous places to get you killed. So may use their shape shifting power and their power of allure and illusion to lure you to your death. Quite often, they will be uh, the really old trees in the forest. So you can also think of May as the spirit of the trees, the spirit of the plant, while Chi is the spirit of the animals. So that gives it a nice symmetry. Now, Wangliang, in this version of our story, Wangliang is one creature. Wangliang is described to be the size and shape of a 3-year-old child. Yeah, definitely nothing like what we're looking at in these action figures. Uh, Wangliang is described to look like a 3-year-old child, about that size, has pitch black skin, red glowing eyes, long pointy ears and red hair, and sharp fangs and claws. Wangliang lives in water and is attributed with anyone who die from drowning in water. So Wangliang is said to hide in water, and whenever there's a boat or people in water, Wangliang will try to drag the boat under or flip the boat over, drag people under so they will drown. Wangliang has so much hatred for the world that it wants to drown and kill and consume anybody who come near water. The origin of Wangliang is that one of the ancient Chinese emperors uh, had three children, but unfortunately, or maybe due to some genetic uh, deficiency, all three children died very young. The first child died, and because of his hatred toward the world, his hatred for dying so early, this child's spirit turned into disease. So they turned into the ghost that spread disease and plague everywhere. The second child, after dying so young, uh, held grudge against other children, uh, envious of them having parents' love, envious of them being able to be alive and play. So the second child turned into the boogeyman and hide under the bed, hide inside closet, hide in dark corners to scare children. The third child was the worst. The third child, his hatred toward the world was so great that his spirit fragmented and went into every lake and river in the world and turned into this one mighty, massive entity called Wangliang. And Wangliang, as I mentioned, is the spirit that is responsible for people drowning and dying in water, in any body of water. So you can attribute the death on the Titanic to Wangliang, if that makes it simple. So that is the most popular traditional version of Wang Wangliang is depicted as one being resulted from a child who died too early. Now let me tell you the lesser known version that you really have to do a deep search to dig up. The version spoken of in the book of mountains and sea and the book of uh, 蚩尤, the battle of 蚩尤and Huangdi. This I mentioned before, the battle between Huangdi and 蚩尤. I mentioned this in the Panda episode. Those of you who didn't check out that episode, you can go back and check that out. To give a quick recap, in the beginning of Chinese civilization, there were a massive battle fought between two factions. One faction was led by the Yellow Emperor called Huangdi, and the other faction was led by the demon Dark Lord called Chiyou. Chiyou was described to have the body of an ox and three heads and six arms, and his skins were uh, invulnerable. His skins were unable to be penetrated by any weapon known to man, and he rather than eating food, 蚩尤 ate metal. So he ate metal. So during this massive battle to decide the fate of Chinese people, uh, there was a period of time when the Yellow Emperor was kicking the butt of 蚩尤, uh, because the Yellow Emperor had more heroes on his side, and they had more godly assistants, the more gods and goddesses were helping them. Um, the uh, the Queen Mother goddess, Queen Mother goddess, even sent down a dragon to assist the Yellow Emperor, and the dragon decimated 蚩尤's army and sent them running for the hills. 蚩尤was very angry, and he said to his uh, witch doctor, I want a solution, and I want the solution now. And 蚩尤's witch doctor said, I do know of four mightiest spirits. They come from the east, they come from the west, they come from the north, they come from the south. If you gather all four of them in one spot and have them serve
you, then you will be unbeatable. You will be invincible. Your army will defeat every other army in the world with these four fighting for you. But there's a caveat. You need all four of them. Okay? If you only get two, if you only get three, that's no good. Their power will only max out if you get all four of them together. And these four are called 魑魅魍魉. In this version of 魑魅魍魉's origin, Chi again is a dragon-like being that resides in the northern Kunlun mountain. Chi is a very kindly, maybe a little bit slow in the head, docile beast with massive amount of power, almost enough power to rival a dragon. Chi has lived for millions of years, and he mostly keeps to himself. His only goal is to keep working on growing his power, and hopefully one day the door to heaven would open for him, and he would ascend into the heavens and become a godly creature like the dragon. So Chi spent his whole life on the northern Kunlun mountain, meditating, doing good deeds, and working out, trying to get his power to be good enough so the heavenly gate would open for him. May, in this case, result from a really old owl. There was an owl that, for some reason, maybe a freak of nature, maybe some genetic mutation, this owl lived to be hundreds of years old. Most owls die in like 10, 20 years. This owl lived for hundreds of years, and when it was finally dying of old age, suddenly there was a flash of light, and this owl spirit rose up into the sky and became gigantic and horrifying, and it became a May, the first May of the world. And this owl started to explore its power, and it found that it could now transform into any animal it wanted, including human. And it started to play with its power and use its power to trick human and other creatures into uh, dying and falling off mountains and drowning in quicksand. It was having a great time. It loved playing trick and getting people killed. And so that's a May. In this case, May is a trickster. It's a owl, demonic owl that was a trickster that loved to get people killed and watch them die. And then there's Wang, from the southern marshes. Wang was a spirit of the water, sort of like Wangliang in our other version, but in this case, Wang is not one child. Wang is the correlation, the combination of all the spirits, all the people that ever died in water. So anytime someone died in water, that spirit get added to the power of Wang. Wang is this ancient, gigantic deity that basically absorb all the spirits that die in water, taking on their hatred and taking on uh, their, their undying needs and hunger and pain. And Wang's sole mission is to drown the world in darkness and water. And then we look at Liang. What is Liang in our Book of Mountains and Sea and the story of Wang Di and Shiyu? Liang is a spirit, an evil entity that is a combination of all the warriors who ever died in battle. Anytime a warrior died in battle, his spirit is trapped and absorbed by this ancient deity called Liang. So Liang wanders the battlefield, sucking up, gobbling up lost warrior spirit to add them to its own power. Liang loves killing. Liang knows all the way there is to kill people. Liang is unstoppable. Liang has the knowledge of all the warriors that ever died on the battlefield. So the Chiyu have his witch doctor summon these four deities, and Mei, Wang, and Liang came willingly because Mei loved to trick people, Wang wanted to drown the world, and Liang wanted to kill everybody. So to for them coming to this great battle was a treat. They wanted to come, but Chi was not coming. Chi stayed on his mountain, and he, even though the witch doctor tried to bribe him with goods and tried to threaten him with force, Chi wasn't having none of it. Chi said, "I just want to be left alone and meditate, and maybe the heaven will let me in and ascend me to godhood. So you guys go fight your little war and leave me alone." Finally, they came up with a really lousy idea. They had Mei transform itself into the image of a goddess, and Mei, in the form of the goddess, came to Chi. I did say that Chi is a little bit slow in the head. So Mei came to Chi disguised as a goddess and told Chi, "You need to leave this mountain because no matter how much work you put in, you are just a dumb animal. You are never going to be allowed in heaven. So you're wasting your time. We don't want you in heaven. You might as well go and join Chiyo and do some good with your life because you're wasting everybody's time just meditating here. You will not be allowed into heaven." And Chi was so disappointed and so enraged that he left his mountain and joined Chiyou's group. So this became the first instance of Chi Mei Wangliang, all four mighty spirits joined together and to attack Huang Di's army, and they almost succeeded. These four together were nearly unbeatable. Shi was as strong as a dragon, and Mei could conjure up all kind of illusions to make the Yellow Emperor Huang Di's troop attacking themselves. Wang can call up mist and fog and thunder and lightning and endless amount of rain to drown and flood the army. And Liang, as I already mentioned, Liang has all the power of all the warriors who's ever died on the battlefield. So Liang is unstoppable in battle. It just Liang alone could decimate entire regiments. Finally, the gods and goddesses in heaven said we need to intervene because otherwise the Yellow Emperor is going to get wiped out. So they sent down a messenger to let the Yellow Emperor know uh, to defeat Shi Mei Wangliang, you need the power of the dragon combined with the power of Kui. Now, Kui is another holy animal. It's like a one-legged cattle, one-legged ox. If you guys have not seen it, I have done a piece of artwork based on Quay called Storm Bull. You can scroll back in my channel and find that, and that gives you kind of an idea what a Quay look like. So, uh, combining the power of a Quay and a dragon will allow the Yellow Emperor to defeat this four spirit because both the dragon and the Kui have so much holiness in their makeup. So when you combine the two of them, it will decimate those four evil spirits. And that was how, in the end, the Yellow Emperor was able to defeat Chiyu and Wangliang, these four mighty spirits, was to combine the power of Kui and the dragon. Now, all this sound like a fantastic legend, fantastic folklore. However, let me leave you with this little bit of food for thought. Uh, about 10 years ago, a Chinese archaeologist have excavated and found an altar that's at least 5,000 years old. On this altar, it said Shen Yuan Tai. Shen Yuan is the name used by the Yellow Emperor for his power, Shen Yuan. So Shen Yuan Tai means the Yellow Emperor's personal altar. Now, what was very interesting was at the bottom of this altar was carved the four words Chi Mei Wang Liang. And when they moved the altar, they found four crushed skeletons underneath the altar. These skeletons were not like nowhere near whole. They were smashed into little bits and pieces and then put under the altar, almost like the altar was there to make sure these evil spirits would not come back again. So, were Chimei Wangliang real? Where did these skeletons come from? How were they related to our story? Nobody know. Nobody know. But it's something interesting to think about. Now, before we end the video, I will show you some uh, size comparison of these action figure and other action figures and give you my final words on them. Thank you for checking out this episode. I hope it has been interesting. For now, 谢谢 and 再见.
Honestly, at first I didn't think I liked these guys. They're kind of small and light, but for $20, you're getting a really well articulated figure, fun to pose, and can mix in with all kind of fantasy display, whether in as a rogue enemy for your hero or just to fill out your demon rank. In the end, I think you just can't go wrong with $20 with the amount of accessory you get, so I highly recommend these.